What is government? When you ask this question, many people will give you examples like the US government, city councils, maybe even the school board. Your classroom even has a certain system of government put in place. But by definition, government is the authority or power ruling on behalf of the people. In today's video, we will be exploring the different forms of government as well as ancient forms of government that has influenced the modern governments that we see today. Before we start the video, please look at your video form or your flip chart. As the video progresses, there will be opportunities for you to pause or rewind the video so that you can write your definitions on your video chart or your flip chart. So don't be discouraged if you miss the definition the first time around. There's always an opportunity for you to go back and get the information. So let's begin. Two forms of government that are often confused are democracies and republics. We'll start with republics. A republic is a nation whose head of state is not a monarch and in modern times is usually a president. A republic is a representative government ruled by law and in our case, the U.S. Constitution. In modern republics such as the United States and India, the leader has limited power given by the Constitution. When our founding fathers were asked about what type of government had the Constitution put in place, Benjamin Franklin replied, "A republic if you can keep it." Many are under the misconception that the United States is a democracy, and that is not true. Here in the United States, we have a republic that is based on the democratic process. In a democracy, citizens share in guiding the activities of government. The concept of democracy, which began in ancient Greece, has expanded in modern times. Today, the term describes a belief that people act directly and influence their government, and they are ruled by the majority. Democracy values the equality of individuals, and it aims to free people from unnecessary rules imposed by the government. In modern governments that have democracy, like our own country, governments make laws that limit behavior only when a majority of people agrees. Direct democracy, or pure democracy, only exists in small areas. This is due to the fact that populations in most areas are too large for people to vote on every single issue or every problem the country may have. Modern examples of democracy exist in Switzerland. Representative democracy is a form of government run by representatives that are chosen by the people. It is founded on the principle of elected individuals representing the people, as opposed to an autocracy, where only one person rules, or a direct democracy where every person rules. Two countries which use the representative democracy are the United States and Germany. The power of representatives is usually limited by a constitution or other measures to balance representative power. An oligarchy is a form of government in which power effectively rests with a small number of people. These people can be distinguished by royalty, wealth, family ties, corporate, or military control. Throughout history, most oligarchies have been too powerful, relying on people to serve the government in order to exist. The literal translation from the Greek is rule of a few. However, oligarchy is not always a rule by wealth, as oligarchs can simply be a privileged group, elites, and do not have to be connected by bloodlines, as in a monarchy. Some city-states from ancient Greece were oligarchies. There are no known oligarchies that exist in modern times, although there are some corporations which run major businesses worldwide and are often considered corporate oligarchies. A parliamentary government is a form of representative democracy in which the voters or citizens elect members of parliament, the legislative branch, or law-making body of the government, usually in the form of a prime minister, leader of the majority party, or heads of the government. Examples of a parliamentary government exist in Australia, which was once a British colony, and many of its political traditions are rooted in the British system. For instance, the Queen of the United Kingdom is still Australia's head of state, but she is mostly a figurehead, and she serves a largely ceremonial position. In a monarchy, a single person, such as a king, queen, or emperor, is usually the ruler or the symbolic ruler. A monarch's right to rule is usually hereditary, handed down from generation to generation within a family. In ancient times, monarchs thought to believe that their power was handed down by a divine right. Generally, a monarch remains in power for life. His or her power may be constitutional, where the monarch has limited power by law. It can be absolute, where all the power is in the hands of the monarch, or it may be limited to custom or traditions. Monarchies in the world today include Saudi Arabia, which has an absolute monarchy, Canada, which has a constitutional monarchy, and the United Kingdom, which has a custom or traditional monarchy. A dictatorship is where the head of government is the ruler and has absolute power and unlimited authority. Many dictators seize power by coup, the sudden, violent overthrow of a government by a small group. Other modern dictators achieved office legally, then later ignored the laws to seize more power and take control. Benito Mussolini in Italy, Adolf Hitler in Germany gained public office legally, but later took total control of their countries. Many Latin American nations have been governed by dictators who were previously military leaders. Cuban dictator Fidel Castro led armed attacks against the government of Cuba from 1956 to 1959. He forced the government's leader, Fulgencio Batista, from power in 1959 and seized power himself. In Libya, a North African country, Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi came to power when he led a military coup or takeover that seized the government. He rejected democracy and claimed that many of its institutions are in fact undemocratic. A political and economic system in which the major productive resources in a society, such as mines, factories, and farms, are owned by the public, and the wealth is divided among citizens equally or according to individual need, are characteristics of a communist government or society. The country's property and resources are shared equally, and where the central government controls all aspects of citizens' lives, as well as the large businesses and most of the country's land. North Korean leader Kim Jong-il is considered a dictator who runs a political party communist country. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, or the Soviet Union, was a one political party country ruled by the Communist Party from its start in the 1900s till the 1990s. Even though the USSR, or the Soviet Union, was technically a union of 15 independent Soviet republics, its government and economy was highly centralized. This country is now known as Russia. Now that you have filled out all the forms of government on your flip chart or video worksheet, you will now be able to use this as a review for your quizzes and tests. You will also be able to use the information gathered from this video as a guide for when you play the Review Jeopardy game.